What's up, guys? We're in here again today with one of my dudes. I've been excited. We've been trying to get together for about 3 weeks. Aric had a lot of stuff going on in his life, and God just set up today as the day finally that we get to sit down and get to tell you his story. First, let me say this: I have known this guy right here since he was about 6 years old, and I actually coached his two older brothers back in the day. Remember, I was coaching the Rotary Rams. We would practice over at City Park, and Aric lived over on the hill, and so I became really, really good friends with his oldest brother Lacosta when he was 10. And Aric, what's the difference in y'all's age?
We're 1 year apart.
Yeah, yeah.
Dion and Costa. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So I've known him since he was 8, I guess it is. And so anyway, I've been excited to get him in here and just let him tell you a little bit about his story. So this is Aric Torrence. If you're in the Lincolnton area, most of you guys have met him either at the gym where he's one of the managers over at the Rock, or doing ministry type things. And so that's what we've been doing. We've been getting people in here that do ministry things. And so I just want to welcome you, and we're going to dive right in just a second. But I want to say this about you before you start talking. When I did meet him, it was interesting to me. I watched a story in front of me that was just amazing. I would oftentimes go over to your house and pick up one of your brothers or both your brothers for football, or on Saturdays I would oftentimes pick up kids early on Saturday mornings and kind of keep them all day. Their mamas knew I would feed them, so I'd take them. We'd have football games, and then we'd come home. But on many occasions, not just one, but on many occasions, I would go over to pick up the boys for football. His older brothers and Aric and his sister and the two boys would be sitting around in a circle, kind of like this. And Mom had a chair. Eric's mom was a lady that I love with my whole heart. She had a chair where she would be sitting on that end, and all the kids would have a Bible in their lap, and she would be reading through the Bible. And even when they couldn't read, I remember her. I would just kind of stand at the back and wait till she finished, because you didn't want to interrupt Mama when she was reading her Bible story. And I would kind of sit at the back, and even the little ones that couldn't read, she would say, "Aric, turn your page." And he would have to turn it on the right page. And even when he couldn't read, he had to follow along as Mom read the word to him. And I've oftentimes thought, when I think about your story, the impact that your mom had on your life, those days, even when you didn't understand what you were reading, or you couldn't read, but she would read those stories of faith and scripture to you, and how impactful that must have been later on in your life. Because the word does say, if you raise a child in the way they should go, when they're old, they won't depart from it. And so anyway, we can't do this story without talking about Mom a little bit, so tell them about that.
Oh, man. First of all, I want to say rest in peace to my cousin Ron Shockey Flack Red and Miss Valerie Cunningham Roberts. But I thank God, man, for just this day, this moment right here, man. And, growing up, we moved on the hill back in 1985. And, man, I tell you, my mom was a strong Christian lady, man. I mean, she kept us in church Sunday morning, Sunday night, Saturday teen meeting, Wednesday night service, Tuesday night soul winning, knocking on doors. Yes, she made us, young age, she made us knock on doors. You know what I'm saying? But it was just a blessing, man. Like, we didn't understand then what she was, instilling in us. But I understand more now than ever, man, how this lady, man, just instilled the word in us. Like Mike said, we would sit down at the table. We couldn't even read, but we all had our own Bible. We would open our Bibles, and she would read. If Costa could read, he would read. It was just a blessing, man. And, growing up, she gave us everything we needed. We didn't want for nothing. God blessed us, blessed our family. But when I turned 16, on my brother's graduation day, is when my mama died from a massive heart attack on the hill. My mom was all we had. And everything changed on that day. Everything. It's like half of my heart was just ripped out. I had a big void in my heart after my mom died. And I just didn't know what to do. So, me and my brothers, we went our separate ways. I lived with my cousin in Lincoln. My brother Costa, he lived with our cousin in Denver. And we all went our separate ways. And I really didn't care about nothing. I really didn't care about living. So I was, looking at the older people in the streets, selling drugs and just partying and, smoking weed, doing all that, driving nice cars. And I'm looking like, they look like they're having a good time. And I had a void in me. So really, I was just wanting to fill that void in with whatever I could. So I started doing it at a young age. So I started drinking. First of all, hanging around the wrong crowd.
Then you were how old now?
I was probably 16, 17 around that time.
Yeah.
Yep. It's back in 1997.
Should have been over there playing football because he was an athlete. Yeah.
I know, right? But yeah, my life took a turn, man. And I'm going to tell you, man, life can take a turn so fast. In the blink of an eye, life can turn just so fast.
Amen.
So I started getting locked up in and out of jail. In and out of jail. Just had that void in my heart, just trying to fill it with everything, Still in school, going to school high, skipping class, not even thinking about football.
Yeah.
And then, so I had to move to Denver because that didn't work out when I was living in Lincoln. So I had to move to Denver with my grandmother. And she was a powerful woman of God too. She stayed on her knees praying for us.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, that's where my mother got it from.
Right.
But moved to Denver and still had that void in my heart, still searching and seeking in the wrong places.
You feel like you wasn't like mad at God too or something? Or
yes.
Do you? Yeah.
Yes, because when people would try to come up to me, Mike, and be like, I'm praying for you. Why don't you come to church? I wasn't trying to hear that.
Yeah.
You can't do nothing for me.
Yeah.
I'm tore up. I'm hurt. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's a hard thing to get over with if you don't have a relationship with God, man.
Yeah.
I mean, relationship with God that's the key.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand then. I really didn't understand then. And let me rewind. When I was younger, maybe around 5, we were sitting in church and I'm seeing everybody go up to the altar and I'm like, okay, that looks cool. So I went up to the altar and supposedly we had got saved, but I was just doing it because other kids was doing it. Everybody else was doing it. I thought it was cool. So I went up there and, supposedly we got saved, but really didn't understand then, But, moved to Denver, started deeper in drugs, man. I mean, deeper in drugs, got on pills, X pills, Xanaxes to come down, X pills to stay up, Xanaxes to come down. Just was like, didn't care, man, was robbing people, like just living that lifestyle of, I don't care what happened to me. If I die, I die. If I go to prison, I go to prison. I didn't care about nothing because God, you took my mom at a young age. Mm-hmm. So I'm mad at you and I'm mad at the world.
Right.
I didn't understand why God took my mom then, but I do now.
Right.
I do now. So in and out of jail, went to prison the first time. And I'm in prison and some of the stuff.
How old now when you first time you went?
19.
19. Oh, Lord.
19. They sent me to a Polk youth spread. And, that's the worst youth prison, I'm telling you, in North Carolina. But stuff started coming up in me. My mama was, had taught us. The word and stuff just started. So I was like, okay, let me read my word a little bit. Let me pray a little bit. Not as much. It was just like a ritual.
Yeah.
It was like maybe I read a daily bread and, read the word from the daily bread, something like that. Right. But I was still doing it. And I wasn't living right in there. I was not living right in there. Wasn't rehabilitated. I think I did maybe 6 to 10 months, but 19. And I seen a lot of bad stuff in there, man. A lot of bad stuff that kind of, did something to my mind. And I got out and I started doing the same stuff. I still had that void in my heart from my mom's death. So I started doing the same stuff. Matter of fact, I believe I was a little worser. I'm telling you, man, you get locked up, either you're going to come out different or you're going to come out worse.
Yeah.
I'm telling you that, and that's real. So started catching more charges, man. Started in and out of jail, making bond, this and that, put on probation. Going to see my PO like, oh, I hope I don't get locked up today. I hope this ain't the day, you know. But and just still wasn't caring. Man, I remember going to see my PO, Mike, high. Remember going to see my PO on Xanaxes.
Yeah.
And wondering if he was gonna lock me up. Yeah, he was gonna lock me up. You know what I'm saying? So gets locked up again, sent off to prison. And this time I'm in there reading my word harder. I'm in there praying harder. I'm in there in church services, clapping my hands and, you know, doing this, but it wasn't real.
Yeah.
It still wasn't real. I was faking. I was putting on a front. I was. Because when I got out this time from doing maybe a year, nothing changed. Nothing in here changed. Stuff outside changed, but nothing inside changed.
Right. Yeah.
And that's tough. If everything on the outside is changing, when the inside is changing, that's a bad spot to be in right there. So got out that time. Oh man, I caught so many charges, man. Locked up. Oh God, I can't even tell you how many charges I caught. But got locked up again. In and out, bail. Sent me to prison again for the third time. I'm in there reading my word, Mike. Going to church services, praying, you know, just had a good look in front of everybody. I was doing that. Wouldn't nobody mess with me. Wouldn't nobody, you know, it's like they was like, oh, he don't mess with him. You know, he's a Christian man, but I really wasn't in the inside.
Right.
You know, I was just putting on the front. And got out that time again. Same thing. Same thing. I was going in circles in my life. Nothing was changing. Going in circles, chasing my own tail, going in circles. Just void. Had that void in my heart. Didn't have a relationship with my creator. Just tore up from the inside. And me, I was shy back in the day.
Yeah,
I know you remember that. I wouldn't hardly say anything. So it was hard for me to let stuff out. It was hard for me to open up to people. I wouldn't even hardly open up to my mom.
Yeah.
Because my mom she was kind of shy.
Mm-hmm.
And my sister's the same way. But, oh man, I wouldn't open up to people, but I would open up to drugs. That's crazy, ain't it?
Yeah.
I would open up to drugs and I would open up to the enemy. Just letting the devil just put all this stuff in my path. And I'm sitting here like, okay, give it here. And, you know, it was coming in and going right out, going right back out. Didn't even last. So this time.
This will be your fourth time now?
This will be my fourth time.
Yeah.
But before that fourth time, oh God, I was really messed up on X and Xanaxes. I'm talking about, I remember one night, I was on so many X pills. I think I had took a 10-pack. And I was over my nephew's house. And I'm going to tell you how good God is. I was over my nephew's house. And we had went to Midtown or something. We was drinking. And it was 2:00 in the morning. Everybody else laying down. I'm like, man, I'm still up, jacked up.
I
I'm
bet
like,
you are.
nephew, let me get your keys. Can I borrow your keys? Let me go. I want to, ride somewhere. And man, this should have been a sign right here, Mike. We looked for those keys for 40 minutes. Couldn't find them. 40 minutes we found them. That should have been a sign. No, sit down. Couldn't find the key. 40 minutes, found them. I said, nephew, I'll be back. And Mike, this is no lie. I don't even remember driving. All I remember is looking at these pills. They had little glittery specks in them. Next thing you know, I woke up, man, the whole front end of the car was smashed into the tree where my legs is. Car was smoking. And I woke up. I started feeling my body. I was like, I thought I was dead.
Yeah.
I was like, and man, I just laid down. And here come the ambulance and police. And man, God's hand was on me then, brother.
Yeah, it was.
His hand was on me then, Mike. I got locked up again. Of course, they locked me up again. And then, but I got out on bond. And that's when I got deeper and did some things that I regret and went on the run from the police. And I had hair then.
Yeah.
I had hair.
I remember when you had hair. You remember when I had hair.
I had hair. And guess what? I tried to cut my hair bald, trying to disguise myself. And it didn't work. So, man, I had like 14 charges. They were looking for me, had warrants. Somebody said, man, you came across the news. I was like, what? And they caught up with me in Denver on Unity Church Road, where I was living at my grandmother's house on that road. And this is no lie. I remember when the police, he put the cuffs on me. It just felt funny. That situation, the whole situation felt funny, man. I couldn't, I was lost for words. I couldn't say nothing. Any other time I'm getting locked up, I'm like, I'm talking junk. Man, you doing this, that. I'm talking junk to them, you know, blaming it on them, but it was really me.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there, but I just couldn't talk. And I'm like, it just, everything felt funny, man. From the time the sheriff put me in back of the car, oh God, I thought I was in a movie. It was like, everything was envisioned on me. And I just felt so funny from the time they took me to the magistrate, took me to the jailhouse. I'll never forget this. I was in B block, B9. B9, remember that number, B9. I was all the way at the end cell, couldn't see the TV. But I couldn't sleep. 3-4 days go by, I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat. Everything that I tasted like poison. I could not. And man, I remember I couldn't sleep, standing at the cell all night long, just looking. And I could swear God was just staring at me like, son, you keep on, you're going to die. I was terrified. That's why I wouldn't go to sleep. And I was on the top bunk in B9. This is no lie, man. One night, it probably was 5 days after I've been in there, no sleep. And man, I finally went to sleep one night. And man, I tell you, I had a dream. You might say it was a dream, but it was a vision for me. I had a vision that I died and went to hell, brother. And that thing was real, man. It was real. All I could explain to you about this place was it was just like the earth, but you couldn't see the end of it. It just kept going and going and going and going. But it was dark. And people was hollering and screaming and burning, and I was burning and melting, but I wasn't. I was being it was like torture in my mind. And my thought in hell was, anybody got a gun? Please, somebody get me a gun. Please, somebody I want to blow my brains out. And I didn't know I could think like that in hell, Mike. And I heard a voice say, if you don't change, this is where you're going to end up. And I jumped off the top bunk and I got on my knees and I said, this is the realest prayer I ever prayed. I done prayed so many times, Lord, get me out of this, Lord. But this is the realest prayer I've ever prayed. I got on and I had a roommate, but I didn't even know I had a roommate then because he wasn't even there to me.
Yeah.
All I seen was God. And I said, God, I don't want to go to hell. I said, Lord, I don't want nobody to go to hell. I said, God, if you come into my life today and change me, Lord, I'll serve you. I don't want to go there. And man, it's like a switch was hit. It's like God hit a switch in my life. And everything in me changed. And man, I'll never forget. Oh, and matter of fact, let me tell you this. This is crazy. I had snuck some dope in there. I did. It was about a 1/4 ounce of crack cocaine. I suitcased it. Y'all might know. Y'all don't want to know what suitcase it is.
I don't. You're right.
But that's my word, Mike. I was so messed up. I took it and flushed it.
Yeah.
And I told my roommate, he said, man, what's wrong with you? We could have made some money off that. I said, no, we couldn't have. I said, ain't no way. I said, God would not let me do it. And Mike, this is no lie. Ever since of August, of 2008. I don't know the exact day, but I know it was August 2008. I've never been the same. Don't see the same, don't hear the same, don't talk the same, don't walk the same. And I'm not shy no more.
I know.
I don't have that void no
Yeah.
more.
Well, I watched that story play out because I knew Aric during all of this. And when he was a little bitty boy, we were pretty close and talked a lot. And then when he was playing football in high school, somebody would go over and check on you some because of your mom and your brothers, who I love with my whole heart. And then I watched you get in trouble, but I was at a distance then because you didn't want to have anything to do. You didn't want to come near me. So anyway, I remember this thing playing out, and I remember hearing that you had changed. I remember hearing that on the street, like, man, something going on with Aric, man. He's different now. That's pretty cool stuff, though, to get to watch it from my perspective and see what God really did in you. And I will tell y'all, I'm telling you this, from that day till this one, this man is somebody else. God opens doors. He is one of the most, let me put this way, he's one of the boldest Christians I have ever met in my life. I've never met anybody that will talk to people more about Jesus quicker than this guy right here will. And I think that stems from just a real transformation, a Holy Spirit moment, man, where God just filled you with His Spirit and changed you. And He's been opening doors ever since. Aric's not only can Aric preach, but he's got a talent in rapping. He reaches a lot of people that way. He's a trainer, and I've watched him and Jerry and those guys pray over people constantly at that gym. It's one of the reasons I brought Jerry in a couple weeks ago and had this conversation with him. But I don't have words to express how proud I am of you. And I always knew, even when you was a little boy, and I know this is personal, but I always knew that I was going to be in your life your whole life. I always knew that I would keep up with Lacoste Dion. I always knew that I would, that God put me coaching those little bitty boys, most of them from the Hill in Oklahoma, when I was, 19, 20 years old myself. And I always knew that those were lifelong relationships. Saw a kid last week at the other rock, Deshaun. Remember Deshaun that played with you? Yeah. And he grabbed me and hugged me. He said, "Man, I gotta come see you." And that's the relationship. And I'll say this for my part, and I'm gonna let Aric get back to talking a little bit. But one of those things that I don't think we should ever underestimate is relationships and how God plants you in different places at different times. I don't even know how to describe the number of relationships God has allowed me to be in, of kids that I coached at Rotary or Lincoln Middle School or the high school or Boger City, out there, Optimus, whatever, just how God plants you in people's lives for seasons and how you can partner later on. Cause we've done ministry stuff together, and I just want you to know, man, I know mama's proud, cause I think she saw what y'all could be. And I remember her not only having an impact on your life, but little David and all those guys in your neighborhood, where she would make all of them go to church. And if you lived in her neighborhood, she'd come pick you up and you had to go to church. And the impact that she had, now I think you're having. I really do. I think you're walking in your mom's anointing. And so anyway, tell them a little bit about some stuff you got going on now.
Well, can I be honest with y'all?
You better be.
I'm not perfect like most of you claim to be. And when COVID came, I failed. I did. You don't even know this.
Yeah.
I fail hard. Sometimes when you fall, you might scratch your knee. Sometimes when you fall, you might, break a nail. You might, you get a little blood coming out. You put some Neosporin on it and put a Band-Aid over it. A little scratch here, a little scratch there. But when COVID hit, brother, I fell. I broke my leg. And it hindered my walk.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying this because I got to.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit up here in front like I'm, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to just let it out. And it's like I let my feet off the gas, Mike. You know, I let my feet off the gas. I quit reading like I was. I quit praying like I was. I quit sending messages like I was. And I fell hard, man. It messed with my relationship with my father. It messed with my relationship with my people. It messed with relationship with my gathering family. It messed me up, man. And it put me in a spot where I didn't want to be around people. I didn't want to talk too much. It's like it shut me up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna tell you, sin will shut you up, man. Sin will destroy relationships. Sin will shut you up. And I'm probably not the only one that went through something when COVID hit. But when COVID hit, man, it's like,
well, separating people, separate us from each other in those accountable relationships.
yeah, but I fell in it. I
Yeah.
fell in it.
Yeah.
I ain't even gonna lie about that. I fell in it. I'm telling you, I fell in it. And it took me a while to get back.
Mm-hmm.
It took me a while because when I fell, I beat myself up.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I figured, I didn't say it, but I guess in my mind, I was walking like this spiritually.
Mm-hmm.
And didn't even know it. And my pastor, Charles Littlejohn, revealed it to me. He said, sometimes when we walk, we walk with our shoulders up like we can't fall.
Mm-hmm.
But he said, but some of us need to fall.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what needed to happen to me, Mike. I needed to fall.
Mm-hmm.
So God can show me, look, I'm in charge, not you. I am in charge of this.
Right.
And I repented. And God has restored relationships. And he restored relationship with him. And I'm telling you, man, it gets rough, man. And I want to say this, man. In these times now is not the time to stay down. If you've fallen or have fallen and it's hard for you to get back up, in these times, it's not the time to stay down. And God showed me that maybe a week ago. Get up. You're not perfect. Get up. Get up and keep going after me and watch me work.
Amen.
Watch me work.
Yeah. You there, though. No, and I'm proud of you. And I didn't know you were struggling. I guess
Mike.
I did know we didn't get to see each other for a while. But I will give testimony that you back, because I've been watching you these last few weeks, really, honestly, with a fire in you again. And it ain't it's not that I knew that you were, didn't have that fire in you, but I have seen like more of it in you in the last few weeks. And we back in his word. Aric and I spend a lot of time bragging on God when we're together and talking about the scriptures. And I feel like God is, man, you are restored.
Amen.
And I want you to know that. I
am.
watch you as you've had a lot of hard things in your life. We talk about Eric's got a son that's been dealing with a lot of sickness.
Yes.
And since he was born, really. And sometimes those things get heavy on you. But I want to tell you something, man. When I watch you with your children, it makes me more proud of you than I've ever been proud of you before, because the way you love those kids, man, and the way you encourage them, just touches something deep inside my heart. And so as like a spiritual father in your life, one of those people that has had that opportunity to watch your life, I want you to know, man, I'm proud of you. I am so proud of the man that you become, and to get to watch it from my vantage point, to see this sweet little boy that was shy and quiet, that turned into this angry teenager that went to prison, and to now be this guy that I consider one of my best friends in the spiritual things. And as a man of God and as a dad, it's a privilege to watch, and I appreciate your friendship, man, more than you will ever know, and I'm proud of you. So I appreciate Mama letting me hang out with you. You was
Yeah.
little.
Yeah.
His mama didn't trust too many people being with her
No.
children, but she liked me for some reason.
She knew you were gonna keep us straight.
But anyway, so one of the things I've watched him do, and we're getting ready to close. What I'm checking my clock here. Yeah, is this since I always believe this in my heart that when we have failures in our life, even the one you're alluding to lately, I think that God, because God's so merciful and full of grace, He will use those areas where we fail to be areas where we can help other people who fall in those same areas.
Amen.
And one of the things I've enjoyed watching Aric do is prison ministry and jail ministry and the impact that he's had on our young people, in Lincoln County and beyond, by the way, is utterly amazing to me. He's so real and he's so vulnerable. And I just want you to know that I believe that the thing that you thought was going to be the thing that killed you is the thing that God's using to give you life.
Amen.
And He's using you to impact our community in areas where you failed most. And I appreciate that you will keep getting up. You talked about failing. Yeah, we all have, bro. We've all done that. It's not if you fail, it's when you fail.
Amen.
And then when you fall, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to get up and run again, or are you going to quit? And ain't no quit in you, bro. You can call it your spiritual DNA, your natural, your mama's DNA, whatever you're going to call it, but there's no quit in you. And that part makes me so proud of you. And I can't wait to see everything that God is going to use you to do in this town. And I love, love, love partnering with you and everything we can do together.
Amen.
And so, I love you.
Hey, I love you too, brother. You're part of my testimony every time.
Yeah. And I appreciate with everything in me, the way God's using this man. So anytime you see stuff on Facebook and it's what all them things y'all do, you young people, or anytime you see him speaking somewhere, you need to show up because this man he's got a story to tell and a heart bigger than this building for Jesus. And so keep running that race hard, man, and we will keep doing this together. All right.
Psalms 124. If it had not been the Lord who was on our side, now may Israel say, if it had not been the Lord who was on my side. Whew.
Amen.
God almighty. I don't know where I'd be.
I know where you would be.
I wouldn't be here.
You would not be here giving testimony. So anyway, Aric Torrence, thank you, bro. I appreciate you guys joining in with us today. And just keep praying for us because we want to keep shedding that light, man, and spreading that gospel of Jesus Christ. So we love you.
Yes.
And thanks again for tuning in with us. Have a blessed week.